shopping mall.
Hello everybody, how's it going? My name is Mr. Hat, and today we're going over another horror classic that I just saw for the first time, like Tourist Trap. I just saw a whole slew of movies. They don't use that word often enough. Slew. Today we're going over a shopping mall. Boom! And don't you miss these covers? Just the 80s horror covers. 80s slogans that movies used to have, the cheesy ass ones, like where shopping cost you an arm and leg. Literally. But yeah, I just love it. I mean, this arm is misleading. There's no robot arm like this in the movie, but I like that there's a shopping bag and there's a head inside of it screaming. Very awesome cover. So yeah, just wanted to talk about that very quick. But this movie is about a futuristic mall in California, the Park Plaza Mall, and they want to create and innovate these robot guards. They're going to take security guard jobs away. So you got these 3 robot guards, and they're going to protect the mall from intruders. And it's a huge, like, 5-story mall, all kinds of layers to it. But then one day, the first day that they even, like, set these things out, their tests up, the very first day, what are the odds? Lightning strikes the main computer antenna thing for these robots, and it just somehow reprograms them to go loose and kill everybody, because everybody's an intruder. Very cheesy ass synopsis. Very cheesy movie. It knows what it's doing, it knows what it is, and it just wants to have fun. So I put myself in that mindset going into it, and that made me enjoy this movie way more. I love this movie. I'm going to revisit this movie a few more times, definitely. I love it. Alright, so let's get into it. Just gonna let you know right off the bat, this is a good movie. Check it out. I actually enjoyed this more than Tourist Trap. Yeah, Tourist Trap might be viewed better by horror fans. This is a horror comedy, but I enjoy this one a lot more. Let's go over it. So let's get into this movie. Alright, so very 80s. This came out in 86. It's got all the 80s style, atmosphere, this mall. This is like when malls were becoming more popular, because the malls, that wasn't a thing in like the 50s or anything, in the 60s. The malls became a popular thing in the 80s. They're kind of dying out now because you got Amazon, but the malls, that's very 80s right there. You got all these, the clothes and the hair that all these women have. It's like, it's so 80s. So that could be a positive for some of you. It's a positive for me. I like seeing that 80s vibe and those Friday the 13th movies. I don't know. I like it. It just makes me feel happy. I don't know why. I just like it. But I just like that the movie at the beginning, it just opens with like just showing you the daily mall life, what happens at this mall. We got all these shots of different types of people that go to the mall, all the shops. We see this cook who's just this nasty ass cook at the food court. He's like wiping the spatula on his shirt. Doesn't give a fuck. He's smoking a cigarette over the grill. That type of person. So it's like saying right off the bat, like, do not take this movie serious. It's not. And then we got like the introduction video to these robots. They're like advertising it, like this is what they're supposed to do. And they got these gadgets. They got darts that knock the victim out, put them on the ground, and tasers. That's all they advertise. But then once they become killer robots, they got all this gear on them that came from nowhere. It's like, okay, were they built with that shit? Really? But then we got like these 2 people up front watching this like video for the robots, and they're saying these weird dumbass comments. They say that the 3 robots look like the 3 Stooges. I thought that was a weird line. There's some corny dialogue in this movie for sure. I like that this mall is the same location that they use for Commando. And I just saw that movie again recently, and I was like, yeah, it does kind of remind me of that mall. And I think it is. The same exact mall. As stupid as it is, I like that we at least got some sort of explanation about why these robots went on a rampage. It could have been like, you know, a disgruntled worker who did it. That would have been the more realistic route that programmed these robots to do this. But I like that it was just like lightning. You know, it struck the thing that is responsible for them, that controls them. Struck that thing like 3-4 times. So that proves that theory wrong, that lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. It does. Watch this movie. If anyone ever tells you that lie, be like, oh yeah? Have you seen Chopping Mall? Because it strikes it 4 times. Have you seen Friday the 13th Part 6? Strikes Jason twice. Now, unlike Tourist Trap, this movie has nudity and it has it in spades. There's lots of it. There's even a moment in this movie where 3 couples are having sex in the same exact store in the mall. Just over here, over there, and over there. Kind of reminds me of the beginning of Wrong Turn 4. We got like the lesbian couple having sex and the straight couple having sex over there. But we get 3 couples having sex at the same time. The shot goes from like couple to couple, and then it gets to the 4th couple, and they're like the nerdy couple, the blind date, and they're just watching like sci-fi horror movies. They're 2 like, you know, shy to do anything. I thought that was funny, and it makes sense. But lots of nudity. We see this girl's tits, this girl's tits. It doesn't shy away. It just full on screen, lots of nudity. So it's got that slasher check marked right there. It's got nudity and it's got gore. A woman's head explodes. The robot has like these laser, like stormtrooper, like laser things. Like I'm not a fan of Star Wars series. I haven't even seen Star Wars 4, 5, or 6, but it reminds me of Star Wars. It's got like these laser beam things shooting out of its head. These robots kind of remind me of the Rocky 4 robot, you know, like the Happy Birthday Polly robot, but it's just shooting these laser beams out of its head and it just blows this chick's head off. Yes, it's over the top, but like I said, you go into this movie knowing what it is, and this movie knows what it is, you can accept it and be like, yes, I'm on board. Sure, you could be the person who like tries to make everything logical. Well, how come that laser beam blew her head off, but then every time the laser beam hit someone in the arm or the leg, it kind of just left a dent or a hole in them? Why didn't it blow their arm off? Why didn't it blow that chick's leg off? It just blew her head off. Yeah, that could be a negative, whatever. But the practical effects of her head blowing up, very good. Some good special effects right there, which is odd because the special effects on every other kill was very lame. Like, very noticeable. And I'll get into my negatives. Save it for later. I'm jumping all over the place right now. Let's get back on track. This movie does not waste time. This is the shortest horror movie I've ever seen. This is an hour and 16 minutes long. Like, I checked the time bar as soon as the movie started. I was like, an hour and 16 minutes? Holy shit. It's like less than 10 minutes into the movie, the robots are on the loose. And it's just like, from that moment on, they're on the loose. Let's talk about the cast. Okay, we got a lot of returning faces. We got Dick Miller, who just recently passed away from Gremlins and Gremlins 2. Lots of movies, but Small Soldiers. And now he's in this movie. And I like his characters where he's a custodian. And he shows the thing, his badge. It's supposed to like scan it and let him be there. But the robot's possessed by evil at this point. By lightning, whatever. Kills him. Some bad optical effects like the lightning over Dick Miller as the robot electrocutes him. And you like see a skeleton inside. Kind of reminds me of like Mars Attacks, I think. Maybe. If I remember that movie correctly. But another face we see in this movie, as soon as I saw this guy, I was like, holy shit! How's it hanging, Phil? Child's Play 2, the Dick foster parent, he's in this movie. He's one of the main two, like, scientists, people in charge of the three robots who kind of just sits up, props their feet on the desk, reads a book, not paying attention. The robot just comes up to Phil. It's not his name in this movie, but he's always going to be How's It Hanging, Phil, to me. But the robot just sneaks up on him. He has this arm, and it just pierces his throat. The next time we see him, he just has a big old hole in his throat. Like I said, there's some good special effects, but overall, the other one, I'll get to it. Trust me, it's not good. But we get How's It Hanging, Phil? And then we get the guy from Part 2, Friday the 13th, who, I think he's the guy who gets hung upside down, and Jason comes up and, like, slices his throat with the back of the machete. There's, like, many people in this movie, I was like, I recognize this person. And I had to look them up, because they're not famous or anything, but I recognize them from different horror movies. How's It Hanging, Phil? Dick Miller, Friday the 13th Part 2, and the mother from You're Next. She's one of the girls. I think she's Susie in this movie. She was in You're Next and maybe something else, but yeah. Lots of familiar horror alumni. Oh yeah, Ferdy. Like, his name's Ferdy. Instead of like Freddy, he's Ferdy, Ferdy. I like turn on the captions. I was like, really? His name's Ferdy? Am I hearing this correctly? I turn on the captions. Yep, he's Ferdy. And he's the same actor from the Karate Kid movies. So that's another familiar face. I love that the robots, after each kill, they have like a... You know how like slashers, they always, like the corny ones, they always have like that line they give, that pun that they say after each kill. In this movie, they don't have puns, but they have like this robotic message that they say after each kill. They go, thank you, have a nice day. It's just funny. It adds an extra layer of cheese to the movie. Just like, they kill somebody and they're like, thank you, have a nice day. Like, they just didn't do anything wrong. Like, they're just doing their job. So, you can't hate these robots too much. They're just doing what they think they're programmed to do because, you know, the lightning didn't haywire them and it just turned bad. I like that the three girls, you know, they are like escaping, they're leaving the guys behind, which the guys told them to do. They're being chivalrous. They're like, just the women, go. You must live, repopulate the earth. I'm just like, I'm not sure. I mean, they thought they could get laid later on again by being so heroic. Like, we'll take on the monsters, the robots, and you just leave. They go through like the air vent, and the robots turn up the heat, so it like burns them, and they like leave. They're like, but they don't leave because of that. They leave because Susie wants to leave. She's like, this is too hot. I can't take it no more. My boyfriend needs me. We have to go save him. So they come up with this plan. They get these like gasoline canisters and these racks. They're like, we're gonna light those fuckers on fire. And when Susie goes to do it, you know, like something happens and she falls down. She's crawling away, and she has one of those gas canisters next to her, and it blows up and she's on fire. Talk about a plan backfiring. Pun. But yeah, that plan definitely backfired. I thought it was kind of ironic too, because she was the one that was burning up in the vent, like complaining about it. She was like, oh, she felt like she was on fire, and then later on, she really was on fire. We get a very creepy moment, like disgusting moment, when the final girl goes into the pet store, and this pet store for some reason has snakes and tarantulas, and they get loose. The robot knocks them down. It kind of reminds you of like the Prowler or Friday the 13th Part 2 with the rats that crawl near the final girl, and she has to make a decision like, do I scream about this rat or this tarantula and give away my position, or do I just be quiet and freak the fuck out inside? But just an effective moment. That's an effective moment. My skin was crawling in that moment. I was like, oh my god. And it looked real. Like, at the moment. Like, there's some shots where it's like, that is clearly a real tarantula crawling on this actress's arm. Like, you see her face. It's a shot of all of her. It's not like just showing the arm. So you're like, maybe it was a stunt double that had an arm that was playing the arm in that moment. No, this was the actual actress with an actual tarantula crawling on her. More than one. It looked real. If it was fake, I guess I'm just stupid for not noticing it, but I'm pretty sure it was real. But what's funny is when she goes to get up after the robot leaves, it's clearly fake tarantulas. They're like these still black plastic tarantulas that just fall off. It's like, why? You had real tarantulas on her and now you have fake ones? It was just odd. But then the final girl, she kills the last robot and she gives that line back to them, like, have a nice day, before she kills her. I thought that was cute, you know, because they've been saying it the whole time. She says it back to them, like, yeah, I like that, fucker. Have a nice day, bitch. So I liked it. It wasn't too cheesy. Like, this movie is cheesy, so, like, anything else they do, you can't get more cheesy. So I just accept it. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. And then we get those freeze frame end credits. Very 80s, like I said. Very 80s. Freeze frame end credits, just like See the Chucky. I enjoy this movie, but what are my negatives about this movie? I don't really have too many negatives to say about it. I guess my main negative will be the final girl. I don't like her. Like, she's fucking stupid in some moments. She's the crack shot, but then when she goes to split up with her boyfriend, her, like, blind date, they split up. She's weaponless, and that nerdy guy who can't shoot for shit is the one with the weapon. She should have had the weapon. But here's the thing. She says twice in this movie, let's split up. We're gonna be so much more successful if we split up. Is the cabin in the woods like spraying some mist in this room and making her say that shit? Like, when you watch The Cabin in the Woods and then you watch this movie, you're like, holy shit, it's true. There's somebody manipulating these people's thoughts. There's no way any rational person would say that. She wants to split up twice. She's fucking stupid. Not to mention her acting is just god awful. I don't know what her emotions are at all. She's not intimidated by these robots. She's not scared ever until she's like one-on-one with the robots. But when she's in a group, she's emotionless. She's not scared. She like smiles when she's talking about killing the robots with her friends. It conveys no worries. Like, the situation's not serious to her at all. She's like, yeah, whatever. Even when like that girl gets caught on fire, the next scene, the boyfriend's kind of like very emotional about the situation. That was his girlfriend, so it's affecting him. But she doesn't seem affected at all. That her co-worker, that girl, she was a waitress with this girl. She has no sympathy, no grievance. She's like, whatever. Hey, she made a decision. She died. Oh well, let's move on. Let's try to make a plan now. And then this final girl, dude, like, talk about another stupid decision. Okay, you got this big, I know I'm just grasping at dumb shit to say, but that's what I like to do. It's fun. Okay, so we got this store window. All right, 2 giant half plate glass, like, not plate glasses, but regular, store window. So we got this big ass window, and there's a metal beam in the middle separating. If she takes something like a fire extinguisher, she breaks the top half of the window, and then she breaks the bottom half just to crawl underneath the bottom half. But she broke the top half first. For what fucking reason? What reason? Seriously, when I was watching it, I had to rewind it. I'm like, wait, what? Why? There's a window in front of you, and you just need to get underneath the bottom one, right? Just push, break the bottom half, crawl underneath. But she breaks the top half, metal beam, breaks the bottom half, crawls underneath. Made no fucking sense. And then she walks to another store, the glass door. She takes her like sweatshirt, puts it over her head, has her arms out, and then headbutts the window and breaks it open. Like from a standing position. She doesn't like head charge at it, like just running. She just sits right in front of the door, puts her arms up like this, and goes BAM! Breaks the door open. This little girl did that. Get the fuck out of here. There's a stupid like scare in this movie where like this phone rings after the mall's closed and we don't know who it was on the other line, but the dialogue suggests that it was just a random guy who was calling. Who the fuck calls the mall after it's closed? Just a stupid cheap scare. And just to add, I know this goes along with the cheesiness of the movie, but I have to point it out as a negative. These robots, they just keep sneaking up on these people as if there's not mechanical, gear whirring around inside of them like. How are these things sneaking up on you? It's not like a Roomba that's so silent or any, like it's not like an iPod that's so fucking quiet, doesn't make noise. It's a fucking huge robot. How is it sneaking up on you? It's constantly making noise. Like it sneaks up on them, and then as soon as they see the robot, you start to hear it finally. Like, oh, now I hear you. And the special effects on this one guy's kill, like he dies off camera. It looks like the arm's going to twist his nipple, but then the next time we see him, his throat's cut. But it looks like he's wearing like this fake ass neck around his neck. It's so fake. And that's my main negative. That's the worst special effect in the movie. Okay, and then we get Susie, who gets caught on fire, like I said. But I found it so odd that they added a scream. Like, she's screaming after she's dead. And she's not even that well burnt. Like, Cropsy took a lot more and he survived. But this bitch, she gets the back of her shirt on fire, some of her arms. She's not fully engulfed in flames. She's just, like, slightly on fire. And she's dead. She's, like, laying on the ground. Her head's facing the opposite way of the camera, so we don't see her face, but she's clearly motionless and dead. And all of a sudden, we still hear her screaming like, ah! It's like, she's dead! How is she screaming? And why aren't they helping her? She's not that on fire. She can still make it. And of course, we get another movie that has a 6-shooter revolver shooting multiple rounds. And we got the worst guy operating it, just shooting over and over and over again. It's not like he took a bunch of ammunition from the store. He took nothing. We don't ever see him reload once in this movie, and there's like 2 to 3 different scenes where he's constantly shooting. Never reloads until he's finally out at some moment and he throws the gun. But probably the most weird thing that I noticed in this film was that they bleeped fucking. When Susie's on fire and her boyfriend sees it, he goes, bastards! But all of a sudden, the sound in the movie completely cuts out for half a second when he says fucking. And looking at his mouth, you don't need to be a fucking deaf person to be able to lip read and see that he is clearly saying fucking bastard. They bleeped fucking in this movie. But we hear the word fuck plenty of times later on. So the fact that they bleeped out fucking bastard made no sense. Was that some MPAA shit? Like, you said the word fucking too much in this movie. We need you to cut out at least one. But we can't go back and reshoot that scene. Well, too bad. Bleep it out somehow. Makes no sense. Then towards the third act of this movie, they finally come up with the idea like, well, why don't we just go to the master control room upstairs where those 2 scientists died, where we can control the robots and make them go back to normal or shut them down. Oh, that wasn't your first thought, seeing as how you already knew about that room in the first place? As soon as you see the killer robot, that would be my first thought, like, okay, let's go to the control center. Let's go get a fucking fire hose or something, or some cups of water, and throw water on these electronical bastards. Throw water on them. That's the same thing with this upcoming Chucky movie. It's an electronical doll. Throw some water, get a fire hose, blast it away, water inside. If I drop my phone in water, it's dead, right? These are electronical things. Just throw water on them. Not fire, water. It's easier. But overall, despite all those things I said, this movie was still very enjoyable. I had a blast watching it. All those stupid things that happened, they just made me laugh. I had to talk about them. This movie is just very cheesy fun. Definition of a B horror movie right here. So when it comes to Chopping Mall, this is a horror classic that I think everybody should watch. So go out and buy it. Go into it knowing what to expect and just have fun. Maybe have a group of friends over, but know that there's a bunch of nudity. So know who to watch it with. Don't watch it with your family or something. It's going to be uncomfortable. My favorite kill is definitely going to go to the chick who got her head blown off by that robot. Boom! Big, awesome Tom Savini-like special effects. Maybe not as good, but whatever. Very explosive. I loved it. And my least favorite kills are going to go to Susie. She could have just got back up. She wasn't even that much on fire. And then she's still screaming after she's supposedly dead. Makes no sense. And those are my thoughts on Chopping Mall. What did you think about this cheesy B horror movie in 1986? Did you see it then? Are you old enough to have seen it then? Or are you young like me and you saw it later? What did you think about it? Is it a nostalgic film for you? I just saw it for the first time. I wish I saw this growing up. It's definitely a film I'm going to be looking forward to revisiting every year at least once. But let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you enjoyed this review at all, you can hit this like button to show me how much you loved it. And you can support this channel and become a subscriber if you haven't already by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds to see more. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.